Well, you want to know what's on my mind? I'll tell you what's on my mind. I've got a kitchen job, and I have to completely overhaul my entire shop to make room for not just one kitchen job, two kitchen jobs. I'm going to be building two kitchens. Some of the parts are going to be done at the same time. There's going to be zinc countertops, distress paint finishing, and I need all the space I can get in here. So I've never done a whole kitchen in this wood shop before. And my problem is I have clutter all over the shop. Everywhere you look here, there is stuff piled underneath the tables, thrown into corners, and I've got to really just go through all this stuff and make room to build, assemble, and finish cabinets. I've got one of my jobs laid out here. The customer is actually coming over shortly, and we're going to be working on the floor plan that keeps changing. So this is the floor plan, and then I have this duplicate with the fridge, the stove, and the dishwasher laid out, so I can cut these out and kind of place them on the floor plan where they might fit best. Customer thought they wanted to put the stove in the corner, so I'm going to try to talk them out of that because it really creates a lot of dead space when you put appliances in the corner like that, and it actually blocks both the windows. So I'm going to try to configure the floor plan. I actually had it all laid out before, and then it got changed. And these are pictures of the appliances, and it's going to have one of the fancy range hoods. So I got to figure out how to make all this work. And this is my other kitchen job that I'm still working on the floor plan, and it keeps changing. This is just a partial drawing. But it also has a problem with a corner. Both of these kitchens are actually very difficult design-wise because they're very small spaces, and everything's kind of tight and has to be, fitting just perfectly. So small kitchens are very difficult sometimes just because, you want to get maximum functionality, you want to maximize your storage, but, you've got windows and obstacles and pathways, and, it can be very difficult. So that's what I'm doing. I'm designing and going to be building two kitchens from scratch, and all of this clutter that's in here has to be removed. I've got stuff built up. This is my trough area. I apologize for the poor lighting, but I've got clutter just piled in here. I've got all the tools that I need accessible hanging up, like all my clamps and all the tools that I use. The most frequently I have it hanging up so I can just grab them and go. But all the stuff that I don't really need accessible just gets kind of buried in here. But the thing is, and this is where the madness comes in, every time I can't find a tool, I have to go through this entire pile. It's madness. Every time there's a jig that I know that I built before and I can't find it, I have to go through all of these like little spaces in the shop where I just kind of like throw stuff under, and I have to just dig through it because I know I have this jig somewhere. I've got piles of jigs buried under here. So every time I know I have something I can't find it, I gotta go through all these piles, and it's craziness, So that's what happens when you reach this critical mass and you keep accumulating stuff and you don't really have a good place to put it, so you just keep throwing it into little spaces in the shop, and and it just keeps building and building, and then you end up with a workbench that looks like this. I mean, this is pure chaos right here in this section. Like, I know there's things that I have in there that I will need eventually, and it's just buried. And I just have to put it in boxes, consolidate everything, and find another place to put it so that I can use this space and all the other spaces in my shop for material handling and workspace. So I need to maximize all of my space. And I've got stuff everywhere. Like all the stuff that's on the shelf. Look at my drill bits. Just strewn about like that. It's inexcusable. Look at this mess. I've already started going through these shelves here and consolidating things in boxes. But then the problem is, where do I put all these boxes, right? I mean, I gotta find another solution for that. So now I'm in the garage, making space in here. So this right here is mostly scrap cardboard that goes to the dump. And this is scrap cut-offs that get turned into maple syrup. So this is my garage and all my storage of material. And I actually have an extra space in here. This is like my junk tool shed. This is a real disaster in here. I'm not going to be able to get anything done in here. This is just where I store extra crap and stuff that breaks down. It just gets thrown in here. It's amazing how much stuff you can accumulate over the years. So I have this big shop fan in here that I don't need anymore because I put the air conditioner in. I actually have an extra room back here. Let's see, it's dark. Oh, there we go. I got this little mini table saw. I think I need to restore it. Got a leak coming down on it, that's not good. So I actually have another room in here. It's like the really scary room. That's where I just store some extra metal and dead bodies. Okay, so I'm not really going to do anything in here. This is just, you know, kind of messed up beyond recognition, so I'm going to leave that room alone. But I have been doing some cleaning up here. And I have this like little platform that I can use as a landing area for extra stuff. I've got this extra table. I keep forgetting about that. I've been accumulating these used motors. I get really good deals on motors at the town dump. I can offer $5 or $10 a piece for these. Most of them work. So if I need to replace a motor on a machine or build a machine, I can have a selection of motors to work with. So I've been cleaning up here. And then over in this space here, I've been consolidating all this extra material and then restacking it on the shelf. So this is what happens over time when you just keep accumulating more and more scrap wood. It just kind of builds up and then you can't get to it. And once you reach that level where you accumulated so much scrap that you can't have access to what you have, then you just keep accumulating more and more. Then I have an extra room up here. You probably didn't even know I have this space up here. Give you a view from the garage from up above. This is where my cat likes to hang out, up here, when she decides it's time to attack me. So up here I have another room. This is actually a nice room up here. This is my weight room / art studio. But really it just gets used for cold storage. because it's not very practical to heat this room because it has so many windows. And it gets very hot in the summertime because it's right next to the attic here, and the attic is not really ventilated properly, so this room just kind of heats up, and then in the wintertime it's too cold and it freezes. So it's a nice space when the weather is nice, but unfortunately we can't really do much else with it other than store extra stuff. And this whole attic is a work in progress here. I have a lot of renovations to do up here, but it's extra space where I can throw extra stuff if I really need to. But I'm still in the process of cleaning it out at the same time, so I can work up there. I think this is a cool room up here. I used to actually have a sink too. I busted the sink because I forgot to drain the water in the wintertime, and then it busted because it froze up. Do you like my wood stars? I used to make these for decorations for the stores. That's how I put it together. This is one of my projects from a long, long time ago. This is a walnut table that was kind of an artistic design, but I never finished it. But this is what happens when you start a business. I started this a long time ago before I had a business. I was working in another wood shop making cabinets, and I made stuff like this in the evenings in my spare time. I don't really have spare time anymore, or the inclination to try to do this kind of work, because it just takes so much effort. I did this book matched veneer pattern here, and I cut the veneer out of a solid block. And then for the legs, I was doing this kind of angled, kind of Asian inspired design. Kind of got a little bit fancy with some joinery here. But I don't know, I just don't have the incentive to get that done. Oh, customers here. Gotta go. Okay, so I just had the meeting with the client and we've come up with a plan. I did my little cutouts so we could play around with the position of all of these things on the floor plan. So this is what we came up with. I'm going to do this island here. It's kind of going to take up this odd shaped space there. So I'm going to have the sink and the dishwasher and an island. And then we put the stove over here with the range hood. And I'm going to do this built-in pantry into the wall because the doorway here kind of obstructed the pantry, so I decided to build this into the wall, and that's the way it's going to be. So it's just going to be one row of cabinets here and then an island, and then this is going to be some kind of window seat, and then the fridge is going to go next to that. So it's a very small kitchen, very tight space, but I think this is the plan that we're going to stick with. And he wanted me to put the stove in the corner here, which I didn't really like because it creates a lot of dead space in the back. It obstructs the window, and it just didn't seem to work with the room. So yeah. So I'm designing 2 kitchens this week, cleaning out my shop, making room for more storage. I'm gonna, order a whole bunch of plywood, a whole bunch of poplar, because all this stuff is painted. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna get a little crazy, but and don't forget to buy my rubber feet. Okay, seriously.